Let me tell you something, just in case you still think HOAs are run by a bunch of bored retirees gossiping about lawn heights and garden gnomes. Let me introduce you to the one-woman wrecking crew known as Laura Whitmore, Clipboard Queen, and her little army of rulebook enforcers. 5 minutes. That's all I got. 5 minutes of quiet after I spent 3 long weeks planning, measuring, calculating every last inch of what I thought was going to be the perfect fence. My fence. The one thing that was finally supposed to block out the whole circus of neighborly nonsense I'd put up with since moving in. So I'm standing there, sweat still drying on my back, admiring my handiwork when bam, Laura materializes on my driveway like a bureaucratic ghost. She's got violation paperwork in her hand, and I swear it's already got my name and a timestamp on it before she even says a word. No, hi. No, how's it going? Not even a raised eyebrow for the steel posts and the laser straight lines. Just that look people give you when they're about to deliver bad news they secretly enjoy. And if you've ever been sucker punched by someone in authority who rewrites the rules just to keep you in your place, well, buddy, you want to stick around because this is where things start to get ugly. Now, here's the thing about me. I'm not just your run-of-the-mill homeowner with a YouTube how-to playlist and a half-dead power drill. I'm a senior electrical engineer. Projects on my life. I do my homework. Engineering diagrams, code books, stress test printouts. Heck, I even ran my own wind shear simulations, just in case. That fence? It wasn't just up to code, it was probably sturdier than half the houses in our whole subdivision. Every bolt, every weld. Overkill maybe, but that's how I roll. I stuck to the original height. Matched the old wooden fence, millimeter for millimeter. I even kept a whole folder of photos and receipts, thinking I'd covered every base. Nothing left for the HOA to nitpick. Or so I thought. Laura, though, doesn't show up alone. She brings her lieutenants, Robert Clark and Maria Santos, both with clipboards locked and loaded. There's no neighborly banter, no hey, nice job. Just Laura, straight-faced, laser pointer in hand, poking at property pins I never even knew were out there. She doesn't waste any time. Your application specified wooden fence repair, she says, her voice so icy I half expected the grass to frost over. What I'm observing is metal fence installation. That a different structural classification under bylaw 15.3.2. And just like that, my stomach drops. I try to explain, show her my stack of receipts, photos, everything matching the old footprint except the material. But nope. She starts measuring again, this time pulling out a tape, lining it up between 2 property markers, way back by the alley, places I've never seen anyone measure in 20 years. Suddenly, she calls out, "My device says your fence is 3.2 feet over the property line." Excuse me? Apparently, the original 1987 survey for our neighborhood was such a mess. Half our fences weren't even on our own land, and Laura's got some brand new GPS data to prove it. So of course, she prints up a violation on the spot. Gives me 48 hours to yank the whole thing out or face a $500 a day fine. And oh, by the way, she adds, 7 of my neighbors have filed anonymous complaints about my fence. 7. I mean, in a neighborhood where people barely wave, suddenly I'm the subject of a full-blown safety investigation. I asked to see those complaints just to figure out who in the world thinks my fence is some kind of menace. Maria just glances down at her tablet, shakes her head, says, "Privacy concerns, James. You'll get the details that you're hearing." The whole thing feels rehearsed, like they've been planning this takedown for weeks. Turns out, I was right. That's when I noticed David Thompson, guy from 2 houses over, standing just close enough to catch the whole scene. After Laura's crew leaves, he ambles over, gives me a look, and says, "You might want to check the HOA meeting minutes from about 6 months back." 6 months ago, I was at a conference in Denver. Turns out, while I was out of state, Laura slipped in a little bylaw change, Section 15.3.2.2, that just so happens to give her absolute power over any fence that isn't rebuilt with the exact same materials as the original. Coincidence? Yeah, right? And here's where it gets wild. The day before I got my violation, Laura already had a structural hazard report in hand. Signed, stamped, the works by her favorite engineering firm, Westfield Consultants. And wouldn't you know it, the report's dated 3 days before I even finished building. That's when I start digging. Turns out, Laura's been running this little racket for years. Engineering reports, anonymous complaints, secret bylaw tweaks, just to squeeze homeowners out on little technicalities. But the real twist? My fence wasn't even the real target. When I hired an independent surveyor to check those property lines, we found out that not just my fence, but 23 other properties had been built on incorrect lines for decades. Quarter of the neighborhood. All because nobody ever bothered to check the original survey since the Reagan era. And Laura? She'd known about it for years. She just sat on the info, waiting for the right moment to weaponize it. I try to make peace with my neighbor Helen Williams. Turns out, that 3-foot strip my fence crossed? Technically hers. I go over, show her the real survey, lay out the plans. But Laura gets there first. Tells Helen I'm trying to steal her property. Shows her blueprints for some monstrous 8-foot wall I supposedly want to build. Even forges my signature, my engineering seal, everything. Helen's scared to even open the door until I show her the truth. Now, for the first time, I see how worn down Helen is. Years of Laura's threats and paperwork. We agree. I'll buy that strip of land fair and square, settle things legally and quietly. But of course, Laura isn't done. She files an emergency injunction at the county courthouse, freezing any boundary changes, blocking our deal. Starts throwing around threats, liens, daily fines, even talks about a for sale if I don't comply. And she's not done yet. Suddenly, my life turns into a circus. Workplace rumors, mysterious calls to my ex-wife's office, noise complaints, vehicle citations, even animal control shows up about a barking dog I don't own. You ever feel like you're living in a Kafka novel? That's what it's like with a power-hungry HOA president on your back. But here's the thing about me. I don't back down. I spend days knee-deep in bylaws, deed records, property maps. That's when I discover Laura's favorite engineering firm is basically a shell company funded by a local developer, Meridian, who's been buying up properties all around the city. And then, twist number 2, David, my helpful neighbor, comes clean. He's actually a municipal consultant for that same developer. His real job? Help Laura squeeze folks like me until we sell out cheap so Meridian can swoop in and flip the whole block. He even hands me a USB drive, audio recordings of Laura strategizing with Meridian execs. They're talking about Phase 2 infrastructure upgrades, about how to use lawsuits and fake insurance hikes to push homeowners out. Suddenly, it all clicks. This isn't about a fence at all. If I win, I set a precedent. If I lose, they get to steamroll everyone else. So what do? I fight back. I team up with Helen and a handful of other neighbors Laura's targeted. We hire a real investigator, dig up everything. Paper trails, fake invoices, emails, payment receipts, the whole shebang. I take it all to the next HOA meeting, stand up in front of the whole room and lay it out. Every last dirty trick. Even the bit where Laura lied about our insurance premiums going up, turns out our carrier never raised rates. She just made it up. And finally people start to wake up. They vote Laura out, just barely but enough. Her parting speech? Pure venom. You may have won the battle, but you haven't won the war. And honestly, she wasn't wrong. Because the very next morning, the city rolls out an emergency redevelopment plan. White vans show up, guys in hard hats taking photos and measurements, prepping for eminent domain. The city council pushes a vote for forced buyouts, says it's for the public good. So now, my fence is still standing, but the war's just moved up a level. I'm not just fighting Laura or Meridian. Now it's City Hall breathing down our necks. All because I wanted a stronger, safer fence. So let me ask you, where's the line? How far do you go to protect your home before you're just another cog in someone else's machine? If you've ever tangled with an HOA, a city council, or a developer who plays dirty, drop a comment. Do you stand your ground, or do you walk away and let them steamroll you? And if you're stuck on the fence, yeah, pun intended, about whether fighting for justice is worth the trouble, I want to hear your story. Because, honestly, sometimes the only way to win is to keep fighting one neighbor at a time. If you've ever had to dig in and defend what's yours, or if you've got a wild HOA story that'll make us all shake our heads. Let's hear it below. What does justice really look like? Who gets to decide? And how do we stand up for each other when it feels like the odds are stacked a mile high? Because if this neighborhood's taught me anything, it's that the real battle is never just about fences. It's about standing your ground, no matter how many times they try to knock you down. So, let's talk. Tell me where you draw the line.